Hello and welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast with your host, metaphysician, Reiki master, and hypnotherapist, Christy Clemens Hoffman. Each week, we will discover teachings, tips, and tools to radiate your best life ever with practitioners, authors, and luminaries to help you on your path. Wellness, joy, peace, abundance. What do you want to radiate? Hello and welcome back to the Radiate Wellness Podcast. Today we radiate rejuvenation with Dr. Muzhi Shi. Hope I said that right. Who is the author of How to Rejuvenate and Live 300 Years and Beyond, a systematic blueprint for living beyond the human lifespan. Interesting. Hello, Dr. Shi. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Christy. Thank you so much for having me today.
I'm thrilled too. And so when your publicist got in touch with me, I have to say this piqued my interest. You know, we hear stories in the Bible of like Methuselah living 700 years and many people in the Bible living hundreds of years. Is this really possible?
Yeah, it's of course I cannot comment on those Asian beings who can live that long because of course they have powers that's maybe it's way beyond what we can achieve right now, right? But what my book is based on scientific observations of other animals, especially other mammals, because those are the close relatives of us, right? If a mammal can live 200 and 300 years for some of them. So I think that, it's possible for human beings because we share so many similarities with the other mammal friends. Maybe we can achieve something similar using the power of technology, like what we have right now. So that's how I got into the idea is how to rejuvenate and live 300 years and beyond. This is based on the close observation of other animals in the world and what we can achieve with modern technologies.
With modern technologies, very interesting. Now, Do you have examples of how humans can live that long even?
That's a very good question. So actually, right now, based on the current development of modern technology, most of those things are conducted in experimental animals because, of course, they may be risky because, as you can expect, not everybody have tried that. So, most of the studies were done in, especially in mice, where there are many mice studies that, scientists are using, gene therapy or other, different molecules trying to extend their life. And they have their lifespans have extended, way beyond what they have as a natural being. And speaking of that, there are also companies who had conducted human experiments. Some of them claim that, they have extended at least the theoretical lifespan of those testers. However, it's only been a couple years or maybe 10 years. So it's hard to tell at this moment that really those people have reached our extended lifespan. However, you can see that all those moving forward with our technology and how people are trying new things that make us fascinated by the future we can have.
Wow. Now, I know you're a doctor. What is your area of specialty?
Yeah, my doctoral specialty is biochemistry, and I have been working. I got my PhD in one of the top medical school in one of the top universities, and I have worked side by side with Nobel laureates for many years. And then after that, I helped some pharmaceutical companies to develop their new drugs. So I gained a lot of experience in this space. And rejuvenation and extending life is also a long-term interest of mine that I have worked with my colleagues for a long time.
Yeah. So your book talks about a systematic approach to living 300 years. What type of steps are there?
That's a very good question. So the reason why I call it a systematic approach is that we really think deeply about the scene behind the scenes. And the first question to answer is what do we mean when we say rejuvenation? Is it just we turning everything, reset everything to say that what we were in the 20s or like 10. Is it what we want to do? Actually, it is not. If you think about it, if you reset all our cells or neurons and other stuff, actually we'll become the same person. We lost all our experience and all our like memories afterwards, right? I think that that's not the approach that people will want to see. Or another thing is that like you can create a clone of yourself at like in your 20s, but will that be you? Maybe not, right? So we were really in the book, I'm really approaching this scientifically. First, we want to define what we want to achieve. Speak of like rejuvenation, and then like it's like what we want to achieve to gaining a lifespan of 300 years. Are we gaining a lifespan that's like just biological lifespan, or we want to just like, hey, we can't live that long, or we transform ourselves to some other animals? What's the goal there? So after define the question we want to achieve, and then we'll find a series that why we think this is achievable, right? So we find examples and find experiment data, and all those like results are generated by the other pioneers in the field, and what we observe from the literature. And then we see, well, that's maybe it's achievable. And after we find it's achievable and learn from the experiment data and other results, we get to know that, well, to achieve this, what needs to be done, right? So given that, like in the first part of the book, the ended result is a roadmap. What I call a roadmap is like the things that need to be done so that you can rejuvenate yourself and also live 300 years. So to do that, actually, there's like 10 steps to achieve our goal. And for that, 10 steps is divided into two parts. So the two parts, one part is to decreasing AELH. The other part is called like increasing AELD. So the question will be like, what is AELH and AELD, right? So since it's a systematic book, there's a lot of theory going beyond to it. So one thing is that's about energy of life and death. So if you're thinking, I was like picturing this like a chemical reaction, or it's like it's a energy diagram between the different states of life. So in like classical chemistry, in a reaction, there will always have a high energy state and a low energy state. And we'll have an activation energy between those two states. So that is a barrier to transfer between those two energies. And like all reactions, like this is determined by thermodynamics and also by the physical laws, we will transfer something from high energy state to a lower energy state. Well, it could take a long time, it could take a short time, but that's the trend. So even the universe, so right now after the Big Bang or something, after billions of years, we're right now at a pretty stable state. But however, over time, the universe will transfer to a lower energy state. So that's the reason why there are so many theories built in about like, the end of the universe. So similar things happens every day, right? So it's like that you have an apple, right? It's putting there on your table, but after 10 days, if you don't eat it, you may got rotten. So it's moving towards a low energy state. So it's always, everything is like that. It's also like human beings. Right now we have a high energy state because we use a lot of metabolism to keep our living state. However, ultimately we will get into a lower energy state, which is unfortunately death. So for the molecules that form our body, so actually they form our body only for this in the time of the universe. It's just a blink of time, right? So they form this body because all the molecules that form our body are trapped in this form, right? And are supported by metabolism and all the chemical reactions. But overall, I mean, after say hundreds of years, those molecules will decompose, right? They become like soil, or they become air, and they flow around the space, because that's the randomness that like the universe have gifted to all the molecules. Because in the end, everything will become with the increase of entropy. They will just like have their freedom ultimately. So we are in this high energy state called life, and we ultimately will get into a lower energy state called death. And that's just like the destination of all life forms, and it's irresistible. However, we can try to keep our higher energy state more stable so that we can stay in this form for longer, right? So the reason why I call this like two-part is that like the increase in the AELD. AELD is called the activation energy between life and death. So we think about it, it's just like the things that prevent you to death. So it's very simple. So for example, if you are in a high building, and it's like standing at the top floor, and there's a little wall that blocking you from like falling down. So that's, you can think about it, that's activation energy from life to death. So if you're across that wall, you will fall, and then you will unfortunately fall to death. And however, you can never come back to life again. So that's a little activation energy. So picturing yourself in the same tall building, and the wall it's become very, very tall, and it's hard than you can climb, so that you feel safe, you feel secure, and the chances that you are falling off that building gets much, much less. So that's the one concept of explaining what is increasing AOD. It's like increasing the activation energy from life to death. So that like that is so hard to achieve in that state, right? Another, that's the first part of the 10 steps that like to achieve rejuvenation and live longer. The second part is like decreasing AELH. It's called the activation energy between life and HYL. So I need to explain what is HYL. HYL is called like young, healthy, long living state. So it's like we all know that with using our current body, it's probably hard to achieve 300-year lifespan unless you are people in the Bible or people in the mythology or have some powers that enable yourself. However, as a normal being, it's hard to achieve that. So like, you know that like right now, like the longest living person is like 122 years. That's really long. I mean, for us, it's really long in the world right now, right? Well, maybe they can achieve like 300 years later, but however, for the general public, it's hard to achieve with our current body. So we need to do something to transform ourselves to make it more likely to live longer. Something is that we need to change some like fundamental things, like for example, make yourself rejuvenated, make your cells like feels younger, so they have less stress and harder to get cancer. So that's one way to keep it. And also you may need some like tissue regeneration, because like over time, your lungs and your kidneys, it will be used up, right? So they need some tissue regeneration. So to conceptually to like describe this state, I call it HYL, because it's just like healthy young living state. It's not you can say that it's our body, it's still our body, but it's like rejuvenated our body, or to transform our body so it's able to live that long, right? So if you think about it, it's another state of our life, but it's not a current state, right? It's kind of still a day-to-day, but it's a better you. So however, from our current living state to that state, there's also activation energy. And I picture it as it also have a higher energy than our current energy. So you have to climb the ladders to get it. So if you think about it, you are on this tall building and have this low wall that you can make falling down and you don't like it. And there is a better room that's probably like on the like, maybe you are on the 100th floor that is on 101 first floor. So you want to get there because it's like you have a big house, it's beautiful, and have walls that protect you, and everything is so nice. You want to get there, right? However, you have to climb up to there. You can climb up with a ladder, which is difficult. However, if you can change it to elevator or escalator, it's much easier. So that is conceptually what is decreasing the activation energy between your living state, which is a floor currently at, to the HYL, which is the floor you want to get it to. So that's the concept that like to 10 steps to getting rejuvenation and living longer. Either you are avoiding death, right? It's very important. And also you want to get to a state that your body is sustainable and is eligible to live 300 years. So for that, those two parts, there's 10 steps in total and summarized in the book. There have like many general things, like I mentioned, it's you need to some tissue regeneration, and you need to make your cells younger or replicable after 300 years, which is more technical. However, there are also very basics like living a healthy lifestyle and also avoid dangers, because those are day to day, you have to do it. So the challenges are that even when you have a lifespan of 300 years, it's still that won't guarantee that, hey, you will live 300 years. It's like currently, right? We probably all have a lifespan of roughly 100, 120 years. However, it doesn't guarantee that everybody can live that long, because things do happen, right? Keeping a healthy lifestyle and also don't do things that are too dangerous that can help you live longer. So that's concept is the same even when you have a lifespan of 300 years. Of course, and then the second part of the book is all detailed steps or tasks you need to achieve for those 10 steps. And also that I gathered a lot of scientific information about all of them. And also I prepare caveats. Unfortunately, everything have caveats and the risks associated with each one of them. So that's about how to get 300 years a lifespan.
Oh my goodness. And you talk about, so it's well, first of all, it's not just eating right. It's not just about a healthy lifestyle. You also talk about technology. Can you tell me a bit how that comes in?
Thank you. Yeah, that's a very good question. So, of course, eating healthy is very important. And actually, in the book, I also talk about many people have, many researchers actually have they just search around the world and trying to find probably the healthiest food to eat. And right now, currently, that based on their research, it seems like the healthiest food food style is Okinawa. It's in an island or in Japan. It's because they eat a lot of fish and all those stuff. And people there, on average, have a longer lifespan on average. So yeah, that's a good part of it. However, people have lived 120 years by eating healthy, or maybe not that healthy, but they can still live that long. But nobody have lived 300 years by just eating healthy food. Unless people who are in Bible and mythology, right? Those are the people who have power. But for normal people, it's hard to reach. That's the reason why that we need some additional help to our daily routines. That's the reason why that technology have to move in. Because if we have power or magic or other things, maybe we can just turn our body very quick. However, it's hard, at least for me. I don't have that power. So but I know that there are technologies that may help us to do that. And fortunately, that in the world, that longevity study is it's a really hot field, right? So people are studying different type of things and trying to get healthier. For example, there are experts who study different molecules or nutritional supplements who trying to boost the healthiness or the health of your body and make you live longer. And also there are scientists who are doing more transforming things, who doing for example, gene therapies and or other surgeries. Or there are also pioneers who think, well, you need to embed something in your brain or in your body to keep everything monitored and getting longer. So you see that there are different styles of technology who trying to achieve the same goal, right? To live longer. And those things have been already discussed, and many examples been evaluated in this book, because I know that would be a big part of it. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Very interesting. Now, why would someone want to live 300 years?
That is a very good question. So actually, when I wrote the book, is that like I have like I was in my PhD and I was study the molecular mechanism of life, right? How to live longer, how life how the metabolism and other things work and sustain our make to support our life. And I met like this like my working partner who had developed this new novel like gene therapy technology. So we saw that it's so cool. So as most people who are in the medical school or have like new technology, the first thing is that we want to cure some disease, right? At that time, we think, well, we are so fascinated by the technology we have, and we're saying, well, if you want to cure a disease, we want to choose a big one. So what is the biggest disease of life that who will ultimately, unfortunately, like kill everyone? And actually that's aging and death, right? So we were thinking, well, whether we can use our technology to cure age is for ourselves. So so that's how everything began. And like this book in the beginning, it's just like our personal notes, because we're thinking about like we want to cure ourselves, we want to make ourselves own lives live longer, right? Since we are, and at that time we are scientists, we want to persuade that, well, this thing is doable, and we want to find evidence about like, hey, how to do this, and also like how to do this, right? So that's how this book starts. And that time I think, well, living 300 years, it's why people want to do that. The first thing is that like maybe with all so many evidence, and I was thinking, well, because we can, right? With the help of technology and maybe some of the luck, right? Because like it's a long time and you have to survive. Maybe it's achievable. So because we can, so I think, well, it's worth it. It's something that we want to achieve. It's like in the 40s or 50s, we were asked like, why do people want to go to the moon? Right? Or it's like in the 1900s, and then you ask like, why do people want to fly? It's like that, right? Or it's like, why do we need like electricity? Because we can. The technology gives us the power. So right now, I think it's a time to think about it, right? So at least we are thinking about it. There are also pioneers who are doing that, but it's a good time because technology is helping us and it's supporting us. And then we already can see that the horizon is over there, right? It's doable. Maybe we're just the lucky generation that can see it. So that's why I think, well, we should do it. But but like in the book, I also have like a lot of discussion about this. So this book is different from other like life books about like rejuvenation or about like live longer. Is that like it's have in general have four parts. The first part is about like theories and like the overall picture, what we want to achieve, and theoretically why it's doable. The second part is all the detailed information about the 10 steps. And the third part is actually discussions about 300 years. So this 300-year lifespan is totally different from what we have right now. So a lot of things will change if you were thinking about that at that time scope. So there are a lot of discussion about like, for example, your family, your work, the society. Everything will change if you live 300 years or everybody lives 300 years. So many of the things you need to take into account. And the third part is all discussions about that. And the first part or the last part is another view at a high level about 300-year lifespan. Is will we become happier if we live longer?
That was a question I had. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So personally, it's a difficult writing for me as well, because there are so many things, information, or emotions are in that, right? It's complicated. So through the book, I see that there are so many fascinating things we can achieve with technology. Or in 300 years, man, time is so precious, right? You can do so many things. You can see all around the world or try different new things.
Hi there. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to tell you about a very special event that we have coming up with Radiate Wellness. This is the Inner Journey, Discovering Your Soul's Path 3-day spiritual and metaphysical retreat. This is an immersive experience, March 31st to April 2nd. So it's all inclusive. So that's lodging, meals, snacks, and wonderful workshops. So what are the workshops that we have coming up? First, we're going to be doing a sound healing concert with Susan Walter, who's a visionary angel artist and angel communicator who paints beautiful angel portraits. And she'll be leading us in a sound healing concert with crystal bowls, and there will be energy work alongside that sound healing. We're going to be doing a group QHHT session, that is quantum healing hypnosis technique, with me, Christy, and we will visit one past life and one potential future life, just to look at the arc of your soul and your soul's purpose. We will also be connecting to your inner self and your intentions for 2023. We'll be doing energy workshops and energy healing workshops. And we will do a meditation to meet your angel or angels and learn how to work with them. We will also have a special guest from Switzerland, from Geneva, Switzerland. Mary Jane Stodenman will be joining us to talk about your soul's journey with astrology. So our leaders for this retreat are myself, Christy Clemens Hoffman, Kathy Lesmeister, who's another one of our wonderful practitioners with Radiate Wellness, Susan Walter, who is a Kansas City-based visionary artist and sound bowl enthusiast, as well as Mary Jane Stodenman, tarot master and astrology teacher in Switzerland. So all of these events are all covered under one price. And there is an early bird special. You can save $100 on this retreat until January 31st, 2023. And then regular registration continues afterward. And again, that will be a $100 discount up until January 31st. You can find out more information and register at radiatewellnesscommunity.com. It's right at the top of the homepage. Hope to see you there.
Did you know that Radiate Wellness is more than just a podcast? That's right. We're also a comprehensive, holistic wellness practice. Find out about our services, practitioners, and upcoming events at radiatewellnesscommunity.com. While you're there, visit our podcast page to read more about our great guests and even donate to the podcast. If you like our podcast, you can help in other ways as well, like subscribe or follow us wherever you're listening right now. Tell a friend, a family member, or a coworker about the great content you find here. And if you wouldn't mind, please give us a thumbs up, a 5-star rating, or a positive review. Sounds like a small thing, but it really helps. You might like to know about our Facebook communities while we're at it. We have a free community, the Radiate Wellness Community, on Facebook for news and great free content. Our subscribers group is Radiate U, as in the letter U, but also, well, you. There you'll find curated replays of past classes, guest interviews, and more. And now, back to our podcast and back to our guest.
However, there are also risks associated with it. Like I wrote in the part 3 of my book, right? For example, if we have a 300-year lifespan, we won't be able to retire at 60, 70, right? Since
exactly.
It's actually, if you take into account inflation, if we, in the books, the very interesting calculation is that if we assume that inflation is 3% over 300 years, we know it's not true based on what we see right now. So if that's true, and we want to keep the buying power of $1 current day, can you imagine how much you need to save right now? Do you want to take a guess?
Oh, no, I really don't. I'm bad at math.
So the thing that actually is, if you want to have a buying power of $1 of today, 300 years later, you need to save over $7,000 right now. It's just because of inflation. And if you're taking that into account, then you have, even you have a 300-year lifespan, you probably need to work like most of the time. Because if you retire at your 200-year-old, the last 100 year, the inflation will like reduce the value of your savings by 20-fold. Then in the last like 10, 20 years, it's very difficult to support your life. And speaking of work, then you need, since based on the current average like time at work, you need at least like 30, 40 jobs to support yourself over time. But think about it, how many things you need to learn. And also like family, if you keep on having children, you have like 12 generations. So think about remembering the names of all of them. Right, and this is your son's daughter's son, everything will be changed. Also, like think about society and other things. So there are definitely good things about it, right? In the part 3, there are good things like because you can, but there are also those like problems or questions that nobody have. From my perspective, is nobody have really think about them before or do those calculations.
Right.
So you see that like the longer lifespan bring a lot of good things, and it's so good. However, it also comes with
some pretty
things that are not that good. So how to balance that? That's my discussion in the fourth part. And personally, I don't really have an answer. I think this is, you have to come back to philosophy or like it's based on every individual will have a different answer for it. After reading the book, you'll feel, well, it's worth it, or it's good, but it's challenging, but I like it, or it's maybe I don't want to do it. So although when I started writing this book, it's a really technical book, right? Trying to teach people or help people have the knowledge to prepare for a longer life. However, in the end, it becomes philosophical. And I was like, yes, there's more to it. So I want to help my readers to not only learn about technology, also think about themselves, right? Although right now we don't have a 300-year lifespan yet, but by just thinking about it, actually it helps about think about our own life, right? So like right now we have maybe 100 good years to spend. How to spend that, right? How to radiate through that, right? That's very important, and how to live good out of it. So that's the reason why it's a technical book from the beginning. However, since it's really thinking from a different perspective, making it different from other like books that helping people live longer. Yeah.
Right. And it does raise some very important philosophical questions. I mean, with global warming, with climate change, with overpopulation as it is.
Yes.
How would this affect society? How would it affect the planet? Will we run out of room on the planet? Right. Yeah. And then with a longer lifespan, what does that do to our health span? The amount of time that we can expect to be healthy during that time?
Yes, that's a very good question. So the reason why that like I mentioned that there's two parts. One part is increasing the activation energy between life to death, so to prevent death overall. The second is decreasing the activation energy between our current living state to HYL. HYL is called healthy, useful living state. Why is healthy? Because that's most important. If we only have a 300-year lifespan, but we got tons of chronic disease, probably it's not that like attractive, right? So it's healthy is one big part. So that's the reason why that for that part, it's also I included it into the like preventing deaths. Like for example, how to prevent cancer, like also like so there is two parts in it. So I have of course, we need to keep a healthy lifestyle. And also there are things that we can learn from technologies. So when this book was initially written, that gene therapy not that hot like today. So that time that there's only a lot of animal studies, and we know how it can impact people's life. Right now that there is 200, 300 gene therapy trials running around the world. So you can see that technology really are bringing changes to our life. So that's a big part of it. Also that they're also discussed about other diseases and disorders and things like that. Because at a 300-year lifespan, that's really important, right? And I think it also provides a lot of insights for our readers about their current life, right? So if you want to live a 300-year, a good 300 years, probably you want to live a good 100 years to begin with.
Oh, absolutely. What's the point of living to 300 years if you're not feeling well, if you're miserable
For sure, yes.
in your body, right?
Yes.
So with living 300 years, that opens just up a whole can of worms. Why did you start down this road anyway? What was interesting to you about it?
That's a very good question. So actually the reason why I'm interested in at the beginning, like I mentioned, is that we have technology. So we think, well, we want to do it because we can. But when I was writing the book, I was thinking more about it, how to spend the 300 years. And actually, I also list a lot of examples in the part 3 of the book about how you may want to spend your 300 years if you live that long. And for me, I'm more a world traveler. I want to see different cultures and meet different people, make new friends, and try different foods. So that's if I were able to live that long, that will be my path. How about you? Is there anything that fascinated about a longer lifespan and what you want to do?
I would not, I'm being honest, I don't think I would want to live 300 years. I don't think I would. I mean, my best hope is to be as healthy for as long as I can, but I'm a firm believer in multiple lifetimes, reincarnation, and
Cool.
I'm eager to see what else is there besides a white middle-aged woman living in the Midwest. Would be interested in having experiences, perhaps an Asian person or a South American person living in Africa. I would be very happy to find, have other lifetimes where I can do other things. So
that's cool.
That's what I thought it was fascinating. Why you would even look into this in the first place. So I wanted to get your opinion on that. So thank you for that. And then another question I had is, in living longer, now this is probably a very basic question, so please forgive me because it's going to be a very simple question, but or maybe not, I don't know. What about the effects of aging? I've seen very, very old people who have, you can tell they're extremely aged, and their faces are wrinkled, they're smaller because their joints are compressing. So with a longer lifespan, are we going to look and feel like we're older as well?
Actually, I mean, not in this book. So this book is different from other books in one basic concept. So if you're looking at about other books who trying to extend lifespan, they have although they don't tell it, but there is a very important assumption is that they assume that the biological or the normal lifespan is about 100 years. And they're trying to squeeze some extra time from it, right? That's a basic concept. However, this book, my book is totally different, right? It's how to rejuvenate. The first thing is that no, you have to ignore the 100-year lifespan. You need to get rid out of it from your mind and have a 300-year lifespan. And then once you have a 300-year lifespan, then it's easier to live 150 or 200 years. It's if you have a 100-year lifespan, it's easy to live 20 or 30 years, right? You don't think about it. It's just 20, 30 years of time. So if you have a lifespan that's way longer, then 100 years or 200 years, it's like 50 or 60 to us. Then that's much easier once your mindset have changed. So that's the reason why you have talked a lot about like aging or disease. Yes, those are very important. But from my perspective, the first important thing is to rejuvenate, right? If once you can rejuvenate and reset your cells, make your cells be able to live longer, then actually it solves a lot of problems. So many of the aging or other things was related to like cells. So for example, one thing that is in cells is like our DNA, right? Our DNA forms this chromosome, and at the end of the DNA, for each of the DNA pairs, at the end of DNA is called something called like telomere. Telomere is like a stopwatch or counting down, right? So like every time the cell replicates, your telomere becomes shorter and shorter. And once it hits a limit, it's called a Hayflick limit, then like the cell become panic because they know that like they don't have enough like telomere to lose, and they have a lot of stress in the cell. And this causes a lot of mutations, or the cell like trying to, because the cell at the cell level, the cells are trying to survive because they know they don't have any more time. So they may become cancer, they may like release different signals to other cells to like accelerate the panic. Those things are bad. And you see that, and also have like epigenetic changes that affect the whole body. So you first think about like at a like cellular level, those are many of the bad things that happen to our body starting there. So if you can take good care of yourselves and you don't have the telomere problem, they don't have the stress, right? If you don't have the stress, they live happily. And then our body, we don't feel age, right? Because they are still the young cells, like our cells in 10, 15, or 20. They're still good. They still have plenty of time. They don't care. And then our body is like our 10, 15, or 20s. We don't care. We live happily. So that's why I said like, the concept of this book is different. It's like you have to reset your time, make yourself feel, they can live a long time. They don't care. So your body can live happily and also usefully and healthy like that.
Okay, interesting. So what do you feel is the biggest cause or contributor to aging and to a body not living its full lifespan?
So actually the answer will be philosophical. So like the design of like all life forms, I said the word design, but it's like the blueprint or everything is embedded in our DNA, right? The human body, like I said, it's a high energy state of all the molecules or atoms that form our body for this long time. It's not designed or it's not purpose to live forever, right? That's the basics of all aging or disease and everything that relates to death, because it's not designed to live forever, or it's not designed at this point to live like 300 years. That's the reason why that over time, with use and age, it's like, how should I say, like a car. If it's designed to only be used for like 10,000 miles, then you see that like the things will wear down after times and the things like that. And it will broken down eventually after that use. So it's the same thing with our body, right? But speaking of cars, you can easily change stuff, right? Make a like new car or looks like a new car. However, for our body, we cannot even do the same things, right? We cannot, like, for example, a very general thing is that like, for cars, you can change your filters like every half a year, right? Most people will do that, and it's easy to change. We are not be able to change our lungs right now. At least like right now, you can change your lungs, but the risk associated with it is not worth it for healthy people. But like those like things accumulate in your lungs, right? Especially with COVID and the viruses that damage parts of it, but you still have to live with it, right? So those are the problems, because like you living here and living through time, they need to pay the price, and the price is aging and all the use and age of your life. So that's the reason why that like you need to get over that. You need different support. First thing that to maintain it better, right? Also, like you can use the support of technology, try to rejuvenate and get it better. But speaking of that, I think probably reincarnation is a better way because you just get a new body every time. Yeah.
I agree. And a whole new set of learning and a whole new set of lessons.
For sure, yeah.
And, we can live the healthy lifestyle. We can do all of the things to rejuvenate our body, but we could still get a virus. We could still get ill.
For sure. Yeah.
So how would we work with that in terms of living to be 300 years?
Actually, that's a very interesting topic. And actually in the book is about like the healthy useful living state. And there's a concept, it's called Le Chatelier. So it's based on the Le Chatelier's principle in chemistry. That is that like once we reach our like chemical balance, that like the balance itself has some kind of protection. So if there's a trigger or something that trying to like makes the balance imbalance, the balance can bounce back to the balanced state. So that's what we want to achieve, right? Of course, many things it's not avoidable, especially when you have 300 years, like disease or other things that's bad, that are not that well, that can happen to you. So the things are like to keep yourself in a good balance so that when you have faced those bad moments, you can still bounce back to your healthy state. So the whole concept is that, hey, you just like get into a healthy state and stay there forever. No, this already like foresee that there will be things that, like things happens good or bad, but the good thing is that keep a good balance. So maybe become philosophical again, but that's a very important concept about life, right? It's like there are good or bad things happen, but you still need to live on.
Well, that's true. And of course, we can live as healthy and balanced as we can, rejuvenate, et cetera, and we can still step in front of a bus. Or there could be a mass shooting, which is a way of life here in Kansas, in the United States, right? So living a healthy, expanded lifestyle doesn't necessarily counteract against accident or violence.
Yep, that's a very good point. Actually, like in the roadmap, one thing is that like I mentioned, you need to increase activation energy between life or death. So it's harder to get that. And one of them is like danger prevention, because I tell this example in the book, right? So like no matter how much you prepare, a bullet can end it.
Right.
Just by a blink, right? So it's very important. And also like in the part 3, which I talk about different things, if you have a 300-year lifespan and, like violence and wars, it's a big topic there. And I talk about both like historically and also like currently, right? Historically, of course, there are mass shooting or things, but like historically, probably the highest threat is like global wars, or it's like civil wars, right? So like if you recall, civil war is really devastating to like normal people because, it's a lot of people got killed through that time. So those are the things really to be careful about, because like no matter how well you prepare yourself, those are the dangers are the reason why they call danger is for a reason.
Exactly. Well, and I believe if like as a culture, people want to live longer and live healthier and have these 300-year lifespans, they may choose to practice less conflict. And so that to reduce the prevalence of war or violent conflict. It's kind of a pretty tall order, though. That would take a lot more to happen in society to have that come about.
For sure, yes. Actually, I was speaking of give some examples in China. So in China, there is like Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism. So so there's three different styles of living, right?
Right.
The Confucianism is about everybody, you live in a society, you should be part of society and live in order. So order is like probably the core concept of it. And like Buddhism is more about reincarnation, right? It's no matter how good or bad things happen to your life, you will have an afterlife or next life, and you can choose. You need to do good things this life, so you have good things next life. It's about good people get good results. Taoism is different. Taoism is like they want to live longer, right? They want to they do different type of things to live longer, and their style of living is they don't care about what the world happens. It's like they live their good life. They avoid, like you mentioned, avoid conflicts with others. No matter people do good or bad things to them, they still just smile. That's a Taoism. So you see that people with different concepts, they can live a different lifestyle, and it's hard to say that which one is best for living if you have a longer lifespan. But it seems like Taoism, because they trying to live longer, because that's part of their dogma. So maybe their lifestyle, like you mentioned, avoid conflicts with others, trying to live a happy life for themselves. Maybe that will be helpful. But it's hard to say, because maybe Buddhism have reincarnated many times already and live multiple happy lives. So yeah.
Right. I mean, this really raises so many philosophical questions, and it's a much bigger discussion than one book. So may I ask how old you are?
Take a guess.
Oh, I'm so bad at this. I'm great with children, less so with adults. I'd say 35.
Yeah.
What? No, really? Did I?
No, you guessed it right. Yeah.
35?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. And how long do you plan to live?
I'm still working on 300-year lifespan. So the gene therapies and other things, we did what we want to do in our 20s, and the plan for 30s haven't fulfilled yet, but let's see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. You could step in front of a bus tomorrow. I'm just saying.
For sure,
I
yes.
hope not. I really hope not, because I think you're doing important work. Now, do you actually work one-on-one with people who are trying to live a longer lifespan?
No. Right now, since like I mentioned, the book is about our own the things that we plan to do and what the things that we did for our own life, and I've offered it as for information for others who are also interested in those things, and technology-wise and conceptual-wise, emotion-wise, how to prepare for yourself. But personally, I haven't lived 300 years yet, and maybe if I'm 60 or 70, I'm still young like this, then I'll say, well, yeah, it's a good time to offer advice to others. But right now, since I'm also I would say that I'm pioneering or practicing this, so I'm not sure if I can achieve that. But if I can see good results in the next 20, 30 years, maybe.
Right. So right now it's more or less theoretical, but based on solid research. Now, is there a website where people can go to find out about this latest research and just find out more about your work?
Yeah, right now it's I have the website for the book is called 300yearolds.com. So that's a website have information about this book and about me. So but we're thinking about providing more information in the future.
Wonderful. Well, we'll have that link in the show notes so people can see more of this information. And where can we find the book?
Oh, good question. So the book it's already released in UK and European countries, and in the US will be released on January 1st next year. So, and you can find it like Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and like Google Reads, all the like bookstores you can think of. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, by the time that this episode is released, it will be available in the US.
Cool.
Because it's January 1st, 2023. So that's just a couple of weeks from when we're recording, a little over a week. It's crazy. But yeah, it'll be out then. Is there anything else that you think is important, maybe that we haven't mentioned or haven't talked about?
I think you cover like most of the things that like we talk about, and it's very nice interview with you.
Oh, well, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been interesting. I have to say, your publicist got in touch with me and I immediately said, okay, I am intrigued. I want to know more about this. And I was very happy that you agreed to sit down and talk with me today.
Radiate Wellness is an international community of holistic and alternative healers dedicated to helping you create spiritual, energetic, and physical well-being. To learn more about our practitioners, services, classes, and events, or to schedule an appointment, visit us at radiatewellnesscommunity.com.